Wi-Fi 1, 802.11b, the beginning. Wi-Fi 1, also known as 802.11b, hit the scene in 1999 and gave us something we take for granted today: wireless internet that actually worked, most of the time. It ran on a 2.4 gigahertz frequency band and offered speeds up to 11 megabits per second. In practice, you were lucky to see 5 to 6 megabits per second. That's roughly half a megabyte per second, slow enough that downloading a single MP3 took a minute or two. And if that gap between advertised and actual sounds familiar, get used to it. Every Wi-Fi generation has a marketing speed and a real-world speed, and they're never the same. Your actual performance depends on 3 things: your internet plan, your router's standard, and whether your device supports it. A Wi-Fi 7 router won't speed up a 100 megabit plan. Your old laptop stuck on Wi-Fi 4 won't magically tap into Wi-Fi 6. The weakest link always wins. Oh, and speeds are measured in megabits, not megabytes. 8 bits make a byte. So 100 megabits per second is really 12 megabytes per second in download terms. That's why fast Wi-Fi still takes forever on big files. Back in 1999, that 5 to 6 megabits per second was barely enough to stream one video without buffering. But it handled emails, basic browsing, and finally cut the cord tethering you to your desk. This was the start of untethered internet. Laptops could roam free like house cats. If by roam you mean staying within a few meters of the router. And if you had Wi-Fi at home in this era, your router probably looked like a UFO. Apple's AirPort base station became iconic, a translucent flying saucer sitting on your desk, quietly beaming internet through the air. It looked like the future because, at the time, it was. But Wi-Fi 1 had a personality flaw. It didn't play well with others. The 2.4 gigahertz band was crowded with cordless phones, microwaves, Bluetooth devices, and probably your neighbor's wireless doorbell. Turn on the microwave and your Wi-Fi connection would hiccup like it had a caffeine overdose. Despite its quirks, Wi-Fi 1 laid the groundwork for all modern wireless networks. It proved that data could travel through the air, no cables required. Wi-Fi 2, 802.11a, the faster failure. Wi-Fi 2, or 802.11a, also debuted in 1999, trying to be the cool older sibling of Wi-Fi 1. It ran on the 5 gigahertz band and boasted speeds up to 54 megabits per second, 5 times faster than Wi-Fi 1. Real-world speeds hovered around 20 to 25 megabits per second. Still impressive, but only if you stayed close. The 5 gigahertz band is faster but weaker at penetrating walls. That trade-off between speed and range? It's been the story of Wi-Fi ever since. Technically, Wi-Fi 2 was brilliant. Less interference, faster speeds, more stable connections. It had all the ingredients of a winner. But then reality hit. The global chip shortage made devices supporting 802.11a expensive, so most people stuck with Wi-Fi 1. The routers themselves looked the part. Flat, utilitarian boxes with dual antennas, built for IT closets and corporate networks. You might have seen one in an office, but almost never in a living room. Wi-Fi 2 was enterprise tech that never found its way home. Even though it failed to become mainstream, Wi-Fi 2 taught the industry an important lesson. Speed is useless if your signal can't reach the user. Wi-Fi 3, 802.11g, the sweet spot. Wi-Fi 3, or 802.11g, arrived in 2003 and finally gave people something to cheer about. It combined the best of both worlds, the speed of Wi-Fi 2 up to 54 megabits per second, with the long-range coverage of Wi-Fi 1. Think of it as the Goldilocks of Wi-Fi. Not too slow, not too picky about walls. Just right. Real-world performance landed around 20 to 25 megabits per second consistently, which was finally enough for early video streaming. Barely. This was also the first generation where having 2 or 3 devices online at once didn't completely tank the connection. Operating on the 2.4 gigahertz band, Wi-Fi 3 was fully backward compatible with Wi-Fi 1. Suddenly, you could roam around your living room while downloading MP3s from Napster or LimeWire, without camping out next to the router like it was a lifeline. Routers from this era were compact and unassuming. Small silver or gray boxes that blended into bookshelves. They didn't scream tech like later generations would. They just worked, quietly sitting in the corner while you finally enjoyed wireless freedom. This generation won hearts because it solved the 2 main problems that plagued earlier standards. Number 4. Wi-Fi 4, 802.11n, the game changer. Wi-Fi 4 is where wireless internet finally grew up, got a job, and started paying the bills. Released in 2009, this was the generation that made Wi-Fi actually reliable for everyday life. Speeds jumped all the way up to 600 megabits per second, which was about 10 times faster than Wi-Fi 3. At the time, they sounded completely ridiculous. Like, who would ever need that much speed? Famous last words. Of course, nobody actually hit 600 megabits per second. Real-world speeds ranged from 50 to 150 megabits per second depending on your setup. That was still a massive jump. For the first time, your Wi-Fi could actually be faster than many people's wired internet plans. The biggest upgrade was dual-band support. For the first time, one router could broadcast 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz at the same time. That's why you suddenly saw two networks with almost the same name, except one had 5G at the end. One was for range, the other was for speed. Choosing between them felt like choosing a character class in a video game. Quick explainer on bands. 2.4 GHz travels farther and passes through walls better, but it's slower and more crowded. 5 GHz is faster with less interference, but the signal drops off quicker. Dual band meant you could finally choose range or speed, instead of being stuck with one. Wi-Fi 4 also introduced MIMO, which stands for multiple input, multiple output. Translation? Your router stopped talking to devices one at a time and started multitasking. Phones, laptops, consoles, everyone could connect without the internet collapsing the moment someone clicked play on Netflix. And yes, this was the era when HD streaming finally worked. No more buffering circles every 30 seconds. No more yelling at siblings to get off the internet because you were downloading something important. This was peak household Wi-Fi peace. If your family had a router between 2010 and 2015, chances are it was Wi-Fi 4. Big antennas, blinking lights, slightly warm to the touch. But it worked. This was also when routers started looking serious. Gone were the tiny silver boxes. Now you had black rectangles with two prominent antennas, usually like Linksys or Netgear, sitting on top of a bookshelf like a small guardian of the internet. If it had orange or blue accents, you felt fancy. Quick question. Which Wi-Fi generation did you grow up with? Was it the UFO-shaped AirPort, the dual antenna Linksys, or something more modern? Drop it in the comments. And if this naming is still confusing, Wi-Fi 4, 802.11, dual band, don't worry. The Wi-Fi Alliance introduced the simple Wi-Fi 1, 2, 3 naming in 2018 specifically because the 802.11 letters made no sense. Here's the mapping. Wi-Fi 4 is 802.11n, Wi-Fi 5 is 802.11ac, Wi-Fi 6 is 802.11ax. If you see those letters on a box, now you know what they mean. If you finally understand what all these Wi-Fi numbers mean, hit the like button. It actually helps more people find videos like this. Wi-Fi 5, 802.11ac, the Gigabit Era. Wi-Fi 5 is when wireless internet stopped messing around and went full speed mode. Released in 2013, this was the first Wi-Fi generation to seriously enter gigabit territory, with theoretical speeds up to 3.5 gigabits per second. Of course, no one actually saw those numbers at home, but still, it was a huge leap. Real world, most people saw 200 to 400 megabits per second on a good day, which was still incredible. This was finally enough for 4K streaming without buffering, competitive online gaming with stable ping, and households where everyone was online at once. Wi-Fi 5 runs only on the 5 GHz band, which means faster speeds and less interference, but slightly shorter range. That's why it works best when you're reasonably close to the router. Walk too far, add too many walls, and the signal starts acting shy. Two major upgrades define this generation. First, multi-user multiple input, multiple output. Before this, routers talked to devices one at a time, like a polite line at a coffee shop. Multi-user MIMO let the router talk to multiple devices at once, which is why phones, laptops, TVs, and consoles could all stay online without taking turns. Second, beamforming. Instead of spraying Wi-Fi signals everywhere like a lawn sprinkler, the router actually aims the signal directly at your device. Less wasted signal, stronger connection, fewer random dropouts. Your router basically learned how to focus. Design-wise, routers got aggressive. 3 antennas became standard, sometimes more. Green LED indicator lights lined the front like a tiny command center. Brands like D-Link and TP-Link made routers that looked like they meant business, because they did. For most apartments and medium-sized homes, Wi-Fi 5 is still perfectly fine in 2025. If you're not running a smart home with 30 devices, you probably don't need to upgrade from this. Wi-Fi 6, 802.11ax, built for crowds. Wi-Fi 6 showed up in 2019 with one clear mission: stop Wi-Fi from falling apart when too many devices connect. Speeds jumped up to a theoretical 9.6 gigabits per second. But the real upgrade wasn't raw speed, it was efficiency. Wi-Fi 6 was designed for the modern home where everything wants internet, including your lights, doorbell, fridge, and probably your toaster. Real-world speeds typically range from 300 to 600 megabits per second for most devices, but here's what matters more. Latency dropped significantly. Your ping in games got more stable. Video calls stopped freezing. The connection just felt more responsive, even if the speed number didn't look dramatically different. Unlike Wi-Fi 5, Wi-Fi 6 runs on both 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz, giving you a mix of long range and high speed. That means better coverage, fewer dead zones, and more stable connections across the whole house. The biggest change is the OFDMA, which stands for Orthogonal Frequency Division Multiple Access. Older Wi-Fi worked like a delivery truck, dropping off one big package at a time. OFDMA splits each channel into smaller subchannels, letting the router deliver data to many devices at once. Phones, laptops, smart TVs, and consoles all get served simultaneously instead of waiting their turn. Then there's target wake time. This feature lets devices schedule when they wake up to send or receive data instead of constantly staying alert. The result? Better battery life for phones, tablets, and smart devices, and less wireless clutter overall. Wi-Fi 6 also doubled down on capacity, upgrading from 4 to 8 simultaneous streams. That means smoother gaming, clearer video calls, and stable streaming, even when the whole house is online. And the routers? They went full spaceship. Asus, TP-Link, and Netgear started building router with 4, 6, and even 8 antennas. Sleek, angular designs that looked like they belonged in a sci-fi movie. If your router looks like it could transform into a robot, it's probably Wi-Fi 6. This is the generation when upgrading actually makes a noticeable difference for most people, especially if you have a larger home, multiple floors, or more than 10 connected devices. Below that, Wi-Fi 5 still works fine. Wi-Fi 6E. Same tech, new highway. Wi-Fi 6E arrived in 2021 and confused a lot of people right away. So let's clear it up fast. Wi-Fi 6E is not faster than Wi-Fi 6. The top speed is still around 9.6 gigabits per second. What changed is where that data travels. Wi-Fi 6E adds access to an entirely new 6 GHz band, alongside the familiar 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz bands. Think of it like opening a brand new highway next to two roads that have been jammed for years. Same speed limit, way fewer cars, and suddenly everything flows better. The big win here is less congestion and lower latency. The 6 GHz band is clean. No old routers, no smart plugs from 2014, no neighbor's Wi-Fi bleeding through the walls. That makes it perfect for things like high refresh rate gaming, VR, and ultra-stable video calls where even small delays matter. In real life, Wi-Fi 6E shines if you have supported devices like iPhone 15 and newer, flagship Android phones, high-end laptops, and modern gaming PCs. If your device doesn't support 6 GHz, it simply won't use it. The router can offer it, but the device has to know how to drive on that new highway. And that's the catch. Most devices still don't support 6 GHz, especially older phones, tablets, and smart home gear. So for many people, buying a Wi-Fi 6E router today is more about future-proofing than immediate benefits. Interestingly, this is also when mesh systems exploded. Instead of one aggressive-looking router, Wi-Fi 6E brought us sleek cylindrical units, like the TP-Link Deco, designed to blend into your home. Multiple units spread around the house, creating one seamless network. Form finally followed function. The practical use case? Large homes with dead zones, multi-story buildings, or anyone who's tired of the Wi-Fi dropping when you walk to the kitchen. Mesh solves coverage problems that a single router can't fix, no matter how many antennas it has. Wi-Fi 7, 802.11be. Extreme speed. Wi-Fi 7 is where the internet starts feeling like science fiction with an Ethernet cable complex. On paper, it can hit up to 46 gigabits per second, which is so fast your internet plan will tap out long before your router even breaks a sweat. Real-world expectations? Early tests show 1 to 2 gigabits per second under ideal conditions. Still insanely fast, but nowhere near 46. And here's the catch. Unless your internet provider offers multi-gig plans and your devices support Wi-Fi 7, you won't see any of this. Most phones, laptops, and smart devices sold before 2024 don't support it yet. Wi-Fi 7 runs across all three bands, 2.4 GHz, 5 GHz, and 6 GHz. And this time, it doesn't force you to choose just one. Thanks to multi-link operation, your device can connect to multiple bands at the same time. Think of it like using Wi-Fi the way CPUs use multiple cores. More speed and better reliability. One huge upgrade is the 320 MHz channels, which doubles the bandwidth compared to Wi-Fi 6E. More lane space means more data moving at once. Then there's 4K quadrature amplitude modulation, which crams even more information into each signal. It's like fitting an extra suitcase into already full luggage, without breaking the zipper. Wi-Fi 7 also introduces multi-resource unit puncturing, which is a fancy way of saying if part of the signal gets noisy, the router doesn't panic and disconnect. It just routes around the mess and keeps going. Design-wise, Wi-Fi 7 routers went full gaming PC. Angular chassis, RGB lighting, aggressive lines. Routers like the Asus ROG Rapture look like they're about to launch into orbit. They're not subtle, and they're not trying to be. These are statement pieces for people who want the absolute best. In real life, this enables things like 8K streaming, cloud gaming, and VR without buffering. But let's be honest, right now it's massive overkill for most homes. So what should you actually buy? Let's make this simple. If you're on a tight budget, live in a small apartment, and mostly browse, stream, and check emails, Wi-Fi 5 still works. Seriously, don't let anyone tell you it's outdated. It handles 4K streaming and casual gaming just fine. If you have a medium-sized home, 10 to 20 connected devices, and you want stable video calls and gaming, Wi-Fi 6 is the sweet spot for 2025. This is what most people should buy. If you have a large home with dead zones, multiple floors, or 30-plus smart devices, Wi-Fi 6E with a mesh system makes sense. The 6 GHz band helps, but the mesh coverage matters more. If you're a competitive gamer, streamer, or tech enthusiast who already has Gigabit Internet and Wi-Fi 7 devices, go for Wi-Fi 7. You'll actually use it. Everyone else, wait a year or two for prices to drop and device support to catch up. And here's the reality check nobody wants to hear. If you're still on a 100 megabit internet plan, upgrading your router won't make your internet faster. Your internet provider is the bottleneck, not your Wi-Fi. Fix that first. One more thing. For gaming and anything latency sensitive, wired Ethernet still beats Wi-Fi, every time. No wireless standard changes that. If you can run a cable, run a cable. Remember, your network is only as fast as your slowest link, whether that's your internet provider, your router, or your device. Your router is only half the equation. The devices connecting to it matter just as much. If you're gaming, streaming, or working from home, you've probably wondered, do I actually need a better CPU? That's exactly what we're covering next. Every Intel processor explained simply, from Pentium to Core Ultra. Click the video on screen, and I'll see you there.